Now, Wall Street looks set to follow the lead set by Asia when the market opens tonight. The Dow is expected to rebound by as much as 1,000 points, in fact. Will Denslow is in New York, and he joins me on the line now. Will, if the Trump administration does take concrete steps to try to ease the impact of this COVID-19 outbreak, do you think markets are going to pick up? There are buying opportunities out there, aren't there?
There certainly are, and just looking at history, there is precedent for the markets to bounce back firmly on a Tuesday if they've been down substantially on a Monday. Since around the 1950s, the last 10 times the S&P has been down over 5% on a Monday. The average close for the S&P on the Tuesday, the day after that massive rout, is over 4%. So there's certainly history, and there's plenty of optimism heading into trading here on Wall Street. That's largely due to real hopes that some kind of agreement between OPEC nations, led by Saudi Arabia, can come up with some kind of an agreement to cut production with Russia. Of course, that was the large reason why oil fell as much as 25% on Monday, the worst day of trading for the energy sector since the 1991 Gulf War. So Brent crude futures certainly looking good here in the United States. That'll give plenty of optimism for investors, and of course, as you so rightly mentioned, plenty that the US government can do to try and buoy some of that sentiment. There's talk from President Trump of major reform and major financial benefits for the US people in a bid to really give the economy a boost. Of course, there are huge concerns that COVID-19 could spark potentially a global recession, so governments around the world looking to do all they can to stave off that.
Well, investors certainly like the sound of stimulus, and President Trump has been given, in fact, a list of fiscal measures that he can perhaps ask Congress for in order to deal with this impact. Tell us some of the ones that we're likely to see, though, Will.
It's absolutely right, Don. Of course, Congress has already passed that $8.3 billion spending plan to help curb COVID-19 and help give the economy and the US people a bit of a boost. But what in terms of that exactly means? Well, the president has suggested the possibility of a payroll tax cut. Now, he said, speaking to the press on Monday, that in particular he has in focus those hourly wage workers. Of course, these are the people that are really seen as potentially most vulnerable here in the United States should quarantines become more widespread. They're the ones that potentially aren't protected by healthcare plans in the United States, not the ones that have benefit systems built into their work employment. So they're the ones that the US and the Trump administration say they want to help protect. These are measures such as if schools are cancelled, for example, there are potential plans to maybe pay for schools' lunches while schools are potentially closed. Of course, here in New York, at least one county has schools closed this week. Columbia University in the upper west side of Manhattan, classes are closed for 2 days here. So those are just a couple of measures that the Trump administration is looking at. Of course, let's not forget, it's not just the White House that has a potential ability to help give the markets a bit of a boost, and the US people themselves. Looking at the Federal Reserve, they've already cut interest rates over the last few weeks by 0.5 percentage point. The Fed are now meeting next week. Again, that is a scheduled meeting, and many investors are expecting them to cut interest rates yet more. The hope is to give US consumers a boost. Of course, the US consumer accounts for around 2/3 of the US economy. So while COVID-19 might be rattling global markets and having huge impacts up and down the supply chain, the hope here in the United States and from US government officials is that stimulus measures, cutting interest rates, can at least help boost US consumer sentiment.
Well, we shall see how Wall Street reacts. The open is just less than half an hour away. Will, thank you very much for that. That was Will Denslow there in New York.